my dad came and got me from basketball practice, and my dad didn't look well. His eyes were kind of red, and I didn't really understand what was going on, but I knew something was wrong. I knew something was going on, and I found out that day that that was the day that I lost my oldest sister. My oldest sister was 32 years old, and lost her to a sudden heart attack.
Dr. Dale here. Really quick before we start this episode, I want to ask you to support our mission by doing one thing. Just subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast channel, whichever one you listen to. Just hit that subscribe button. The way our podcasts get out there is by you guys liking it, by subscribing, and of course by sharing as well. So if you do one of those things for us right now, we really appreciate it. We work very hard to make these episodes for you guys. We work very hard to get them out for you guys and just to try to uplift the entire community. So if you can help us out by doing one of those things, subscribe, share, or like every time. I really appreciate it. Love you guys.
What is up, family? I'm Dr. Dale, the author of How to Raise a Doctor Wisdom for Parents Who Did It, the author of Pre-Med Mondays, author of Black Men and White Coats, author of the Dr. Doc Children's Series, and the author of this new book that's about to come out. Not quite out yet, but it's called A Doctor's Guide to Self-Publishing. I'm actually probably going to change that just a tad bit, but this is a book written just in the proofreading stages, doing a couple stuff. But I wrote this because so many doctors out there and nurse practitioners, so many people have been asking me how I publish all these books that I publish. So I said, hey, instead of adding to all of you guys at once, I'm just gonna write the book on it and give it to you guys, right? So, that's coming soon here. That's coming out very, very soon. And you listen to the Black Men and White Coats podcast, a place where Black clinicians have the platform to share their stories with listeners like you and viewers like you. So, putting these videos up on YouTube now. So it's not just a podcast. Those of you who are listening to it, it's actually a video. If you're on YouTube, you can actually see me talking right now. You can see what I'm wearing. I'm rocking my Black Men and White Coats on my grind t-shirt. Check it out. Go grab you one. We'll put the link somewhere around here. And then you get to see our guests. You get to see our guests talking and what you're doing with your hand motion, and just make it a little bit cooler maybe for some of you guys to actually see instead of just always listening. Or you can listen. You can do whatever you want. We want to make sure we're giving you guys whatever you want. But you are listening to the Black Men and White Coats podcast, and I'm so excited for another season, man. Another season. We took a little break in between seasons, just get away from putting out the podcast, but definitely not getting away from the work, right? So the work's always going on in the background, and we've been doing so many great and amazing things. One of which, before I forget, let me grab this book set here. I'm gonna say thank you to Kaplan. Right. So in my hand, so some of you guys can see it. Don't let that light blind you there, but this big old book set in my hand. I think, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 MCAT prep books in here, right? We've got everything in here: behavioral sciences, biochem, biology, critical analysis, a car section, general chemistry, organic chemistry, physics and medicine, math, not medicine. You guys aren't, pre-meds aren't quite doctors yet, but physics and math. So this big old, and it's heavy, right? This big old heavy book set right here, we partnered with Kaplan, and Kaplan gave out 1,000 of these to our Black Men and White Coats families, so you all are part of our Black Men and White Coats families, right? That's why I always say, what is up, family? Kaplan ordered 1,000 of these. These are about $250 book sets. 1,000 of them have been shipped out now, right? So initially we're going to give it to the first 100 people. Kaplan, shout out to Kaplan for what they did. Gave it out to the first 1,000 people who actually filled it out correctly. Some of you all filled it out but didn't put your right addresses or left off zip codes or stuff like that. So sorry, there's nothing I can do about that right now. But for those of you who filled it out completely, and I know a lot of you are getting it because you guys have been bombarding us with messages. Hey, if you got one, take a picture and put it online and tag us and tag Kaplan. We'd appreciate that. And I know it'd be a great way of saying thank you to those folks there at Kaplan for giving out these. This $250,000 worth of books. We just partnered with Kaplan to give out $250,000 worth of books, right? So those of you guys who got it, take advantage of it, and I hope you get the scores that you're looking for. While we're on the topic of MCAT, remember, we're still paying for people's MCATs now. We're still paying for MCATs. It's not over. We started giving some out last season. We're back at it again this season. So go to www.blackmenandwhitecoats.org/MCAT, www.blackmenandwhitecoats.org/MCAT. Little application there. You got to get yourself together. And we are paying for MCAT. MCATs, right? So some of you guys have already gotten it. Some more of you guys, we're going to keep on paying for some of you guys MCATs, so I fill it out, and we'll announce some winners throughout the season, all right? And the last thing I'm going to say, maybe not the last, but another thing I want to say is people keep on emailing us and say, hey, can we get on your email list? You don't have to email us to get on the email list. Just go to www.blackmenandwhitecoats.org / I believe it's email, / email. If I'm wrong, somebody send me a message, let me know. But / email. Yeah. All right. So many cool things have been happening. A lot of you guys joined us for the mentoring lunch, and we've got some other stuff coming up here soon in the near future. And we're just really excited. We've always got projects going on. We're getting more and more programs to register for summits. So the year 2022 is looking like it's going to be great for youth summits, as long as, COVID doesn't just go haywire like it did again. It's already haywire, but, everybody's anticipating it's going to kind of hit a down curve, and 2022 will be okay. If not, we'll adjust. Black men and white coats, we know how to get stuff done, and we'll make sure that we do, we keep on doing our work in a safe and manner that helps our youth grow. So with all that said, you guys can probably tell I'm just super excited to be back for another season of Black Men in White Coats, because not only do I love doing this, but I love just hearing the stories of those, men and women in the field of medicine, how they got there, their ups and downs. But most of all, it's always triumphant at the end, and it's always a success story, and I love that. I love that. All right, so today's guest is my man, Dr. Stepps. I call him Stepps MD. Dr. Kristopher Stepps. Stepps MD. Make sure you check him out on Instagram, definitely. But man, so this is a phenomenal episode here. So much stuff in his life that you can learn from, man. He's had the ups and downs. He's got the regular story about, I don't want to call it regular. It's definitely not regular. Let me not say the regular story. But he's got the story of, overcoming the struggles to get into medical school, right? But beyond that, he's got some stuff, some real tragedy stuff that happened in his life. I'm not going to spill the beans here. You got to listen to it. But some real tragedy stuff that happened in his life. And, he really opens up and goes into detail about how he was able to overcome that, and how that kind of pushed him to the next level and helped him get to where he is today, and how, because of that, so many of you all will be inspired and able to get to that next step, that next level, right? So, man, I'm not going to keep y'all from what you're here to hear for. Stepps MD, y'all check it out.
Yo, what's good, everybody? How y'all feeling out there? Y'all good? That's what's up. Hey, it's your mama and them favorite MD, man. It's Stepps MD. I'm on here, man, with this very special invitation, this very special opportunity from Black Men White Coat organization. Hey, man, Dale, I appreciate you, fam, man, giving me this opportunity to kind of share my story of triumph, perseverance, and inspiration to get to where I am today. So, man, I'm grateful for this platform to, of course, uplift, man, the people coming behind me. So, man, look, I got my hat on, got my shirt, representing the HBCUs across the country. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to you as the old folks say, man. I'm gonna give it to you straight, no chaser. I could be dressed up, I could be in a white coat and the scrub, but nah, man, I'm gonna give it to you raw. Man, it took a lot of perseverance. I had a lot of obstacles to get to where I am today. And I just want to be able to use some of those obstacles as stepping stones for you. Of course, if you see some things in my story, it's like, all right, don't need to do what Brother Stepps did, or I may need to get back on that main road just a little quicker than he did. That's what I want to be able to do with my story. I always say when you see, or when I even see myself, walking down the halls in a white coat, or even, hearing the term Dr. Stepps, just as a turtle not being able to get on a table by itself, that's the same thing with me. I had a lot of help, a lot of support, a lot of prayers. I'm standing on the shoulders of a lot of giants that helped me get to where I am. So I'm very, very grateful for the community of people that helped me get to this plateau, this platform that I now have, as a physician. So, normally, we get into the story, tell you the introduction, and then go through the plot and the climax. But I kind of want to just share up front, just a little snippet, of some of the, some of the obstacles, just kind of a brief snapshot of what I had to go through to kind of get to where I am, and then I'll of course, go through the backstory and just kind of tell you, just what really inspired me to chase this dream to be called Dr. Stepps. But just a quick snapshot. So Perseverance had to be my middle name. I applied to medical school 3 times. I refused to give up. Took the MCAT 5 times. I used to be ashamed to admit that, oh man, I feel less than, I feel inferior, thinking, oh man, I'm not as smart as the other people. But, no more. And then what I realized too is that, once banding with other members of the network, other community members, you realize, man, it was a struggle. It was a struggle for everybody. But there was a lesson. There was a lesson in each time that I fell short. It made me stronger. I came back, went to the drawing board, did what I needed to do, to go ahead and get myself back stronger, back prepared. And so, of course, here I am. So, just starting off, listen, I didn't have a yellow brick road, still don't have a yellow brick road. I'm trying my best to get it out the mud, what I'm talking about? Just keep grinding. Yeah, let me let y'all know I'm from Arkansas, so y'all might hear a little twang here and there, so don't judge me. Hey, this is how it sound, right? So let's start off with where I'm from though. Let me tell you a little bit, man, because I'm a very, very proud native of Arkansas. Representing the southern part of the USA. But I'm represent a very special part of Arkansas, from Pine Bluff, the very southern part of Arkansas. Very, very, very proud native there. I represent wherever I go. I'm gonna put the bluff on my back. Of course, a special shout out even to the neighborhood I grew up in. I grew up on the north side of Pine Bluff. A lot of people counted us out. A lot of people looked at us as inferior part of even Pine Bluff. But I stand today as a proud representative, saying, hey, you can make it anywhere. And so, man, major shout out if anybody listening from the Bluff. Shout out to the north, and they know what I'm talking about, north. But so even more prouder, my mom and dad grew up in the even far southern part of Arkansas in a rural area. Major shout out to Portland and Montrose. But I'm a direct descendant of family sharecropping. My mom and dad would tell us stories, of how, what it was like growing up as a kid in the cotton fields. And, it always amazed me to know that, the life we have now, man, sometimes we kind of take it for granted because, man, my mom and dad was really having to get it out the mud. Like, just kind of telling me how, a family had to kind of ration, resources, money and food, to kind of, get through those hard times. And so it just made me more proud, to carry the last name and to carry the legacy, that my mom and dad set forth. And that legacy was through education. My mom and dad, they met, of course, worked the cotton fields a large part of their lives, growing up. But they both looked at each other and they made a crucial decision. They made a decision that, that this is not going to be their life, that they want education to kind of be the next stepping stone and what they wanted to raise their family on. And so my mom and dad kind of took the kind of unpopular route, kind of coming out of the country, and they said they want to go to college. And of course, at that time in the late 60s, colleges across the country were not as partial to, admitting African Americans. And so, my mom and dad went to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff at that time, which was AMN, Arkansas Agricultural, Mechanical, and Normal College in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Because, of course, HBCUs, were the only bright spot where African Americans were welcomed. And so my mom and dad got their education from there. My dad always tells the story like, man, look, I came there with $10 in my pocket, and we made it work. And so, just very proud to be a part of that, that legacy, to know that, listen, you can get it out the mud, you can make it anywhere. And so to see my mom and dad going to University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, better known as UAPB, I as you see on my shirt, I'm a very, very, very huge advocate for these historically black colleges and university, because without that, I don't know where I would be. And so I went to a HBCU. My kids got to go to the HBCU if that's where they want daddy money to go, right? Right. I can't tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you where daddy money going, right? So, yeah, I'm very, very, very grateful for that, setting that legacy forward. But, going through my mom and dad, they got their degrees from UPB, and so my mom and dad had 3 kids. I'm the baby boy, and I'm the mama's boy. So I'll share a little secret with y'all. Don't tell nobody. But I was affectionately known as, and still is known as, Pooh Bear, and so I was mama's Pooh Bear. And so everybody in the neighborhood, they knew me as Pooh Bear. And then I got old enough, I said, hey, y'all gotta drop the bear part and call me Pooh, right? But my mom and dad raised us hard workers. You couldn't half step in that house. They gave me a very strong background and perseverance. Again, they shared their many stories with how they had to overcome self-doubt, racism, family doubt, coming from certain areas, like, oh, you can't make it because you come from this area. So they instilled that in us to work hard no matter what people are saying. But I always make this sharp contrast that listen, we grew up in the hood. Like, I'm not ashamed of that. I would always joke, and I still joke to this day, and I tell people, look, man, like, I grew up ghetto fabulous, like, and I embrace that. What I'm saying? Like, that's a part of who I am, and I don't let that part die or try to hide it. Like, no, that's where I'm from. And if anybody that that grew up in the hood, or the quote unquote ghetto, or whatever you try to call it, you don't at that age, you don't realize that you grew up in you don't realize that you grew up in that type of neighborhood. In your mind, you're thinking, hey, this is the norm. This is what you see. This is what you do. So, I didn't think nothing of it, nor did any of my friends. And so, I did have the luxury of mom and dad, being in the household, teaching me education, teaching me hard work ethic. But, listen, I grew up ghetto fabulous. I grew up in the hood. And so, I really embrace that part of me. That my neighborhood is like my family. And so, whatever I do, I try to put that neighborhood on my back. And so, that's just a little tidbit of encouragement, to you that may be coming behind me, or may even be in a similar position, but going through some things that, when we're going through something, it's not just for us. What I'm saying? It's for a community. It's for a neighborhood of people, that's kind of depending on you and ready to be proud of you. And so, I always took that to heart, and kept that inside. So whenever I felt like, man, I'm getting weak, like, hey, bro, I can't really handle this. This is too much. I always remember, look, man, you got a hood, that's pushing you. You got a hood that's proud of you, and that wants you to succeed. And so, very proud of the neighborhood that I grew up in. My dad was a father figure to many. Even at times I remember, like, even being like low key jealous, like, dang, daddy, I got to share my daddy with everybody. But that's just kind of the man he was. He cared a lot about his community. My dad was a politician. He was an alderman in his neighborhood for the city of Pine Bluff for, over 15 years. He dedicated his life to public service. And so, whatever he can do to help a kid, be in a better position, he always took the time to do that. And so my dad was my first basketball coach. He coached me t-ball, baseball. So my dad taught me a lot about life through sports. He was tough. At times I even want to say, man, I'm gonna tell my mama when I get home, based on you hollering at me and making me do all these extra running and stuff. I don't appreciate that. But I was too little to tell him that, and plus, I couldn't run away because I couldn't pay the bills, right? So I had to kind of roll with what my pops was saying. But no, for real though, he taught me a lot. Accountability. He taught me how to be a leader, be responsible for my actions, and of course, responsible for the actions of others. If one of my teammates, didn't get something right, he made us all run. He didn't just single one person out. So he taught me at an early age, to kind of be a leader and be responsible for your brother next to you. You know, my mom was real huge on education. Like my mom really, you know, she had a very tenacious spirit, and she instilled that tenacity into me, and I'm very appreciative for that. She didn't play. You know, my mom had to overcome a lot. My mom was actually one of the first African American women to get a PhD from Kansas State University back in the very, very early 80s. And, you know, hearing that story and hearing how my mom, you know, transitioned from, you know, going to, you know, a small black college to a large university and, you know, not being exposed to certain things, you know, and having to struggle with those, you know, those extra things on top of, you know, the rigor of the curriculum, you know, it just made me just admire her even more for getting through what she went through. And so my mom instilled that into me, and I'm very, very, very appreciative for that. But, you know, listen, man, you know, kids will be kids, right? You know, my mom and dad, you know, they pushed education, you know, yeah, they put all this into me. But, you know, at the end of the day, man, I was still, I was a class clown. Like, I still was a clown. Like, I mean, life was kind of funny to me. I mean, like I took, you know, school seriously, you know, when I had to, you know, not to come home and get in trouble. But for the most part, you know, I love to laugh. And, you know, wherever some laughing, you know, joking was going on, you was going to find Chris Stepps somewhere in the middle of it, right? And so, you know, going through life was, I don't want to say life was a joke, but I wasn't taking life serious. You know, I wasn't thinking for tomorrow. I was just like, yo, what's going on today? What can we get into today? And so, yeah, that's just kind of how I rolled. I mean, I wasn't like just completely disruptive, but yeah, I was in there cracking some jokes, like making some jokes on people, getting them cracked on me, and going back at them. So yeah, you know, that was me as a kid. Like, you know, yeah, I was very smart kid. You know, I was, you know, into sports. But then, yeah, I was also, I mean, I love to laugh. I was a big clown. And so that really changed for me though. That ninth grade was a very pivotal. It was a very pivotal time. My life changed. My life changed drastically. On November the 4th, my dad came and got me from basketball practice, and you know, my dad didn't look well. You know, his eyes were kind of red, and you know, I didn't really understand, you know, what was going on, but I knew something was wrong. You know what I'm saying? I knew something was going on, and yeah, I found out that day that you know, that was the day that I lost my oldest sister. My oldest sister was 32 years old, and yeah, lost her to a sudden heart attack. Yeah, so my mom and dad had 3 kids, and so I got hit with this tragic loss. I'm 14. Up until that point, everything was a joke. I was in the girls and basketball. That was it. That's all I cared about. But life changed for me after that. You know, that was a huge. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to, you know, trying to keep myself composed because I want to tell this part of the story, because I kind of gave up. Yeah, I gave up on life. Life just stopped mattering to me. Like, you know, losing my sister, I was like, man, I'll never be able to talk to my sister again. Like, you know, I'm 14, I won't be able to tell my sister about my first prom date or my first, you know, basketball game, or, man, I scored my first points in high school. I won't be able to share that with my sister. And, you know, I let go of the steering wheel on life. You know, that year, life just, man, I stopped caring about school. I was halfway doing my work. I just didn't care. Like, I was actually, at that time, I was then getting put out of class. I was like disruptive. IDGAF. I just did not care. Like, I just didn't. And I mean, I went from like you know, being an A student to that year, in that 9th grade year, I was making like literally C's. And then I remember I even had a D at the end of the year. And I mean, like, I barely, you know, kind of got over the finish line, and I was just kind of shrugging my shoulders, like, yeah, whatever. You know, I made it to high school. But, you know, a light clicked for me in the 10th grade. I ran into my AP English teacher in the 10th grade. That was the one class I did do well in. And I remember I was in class clowning, doing my thing, and she called me. She said, "I want to talk to you after class." I'm like, "Man, what?" And everybody like, "Ooh, you in trouble?" I'm like, "Man, shut up, whatever." So she called me up, and man, she jumped in my butt like no one has ever done that before. And she was like, "Chris, I get it. You grieving. Like, your sister's gone." And so she caught me off guard with that, and she said, "But your sister wouldn't want you acting like this. Like, you got so much potential. You got so much to offer this world. And right now, you squandering an opportunity to be something great. I expect better from you, and I expect to see the change in you." And when I tell you, man, I start crying. I'm like, I'm trying to be hard, but then the thug tears, man, the thug tears start falling, man. I couldn't hold it in, but to see that she cared about me, and to see that she was able to see through the pain, she was able to see through my antics, that really, man, this dude hurting on the inside, and he don't really know how to process that. That meant a lot to me, and she became a mentor, even a mentor to me today. 18 years later, I still talk to her to this day. But life changed for me after that. Life got back on the right road. I got back serious about my books, and I made a decision. I wanted to get into medicine. I wanted to get into medicine to, make sure that my sister died from something preventable. But my sister didn't know, she didn't understand what was going on with her body. And so she did like any other average person would do, just, shrug it off, and hopefully walk it off, it'll go away. But I wanted to make sure to get into medicine so that I could prevent as many families as possible from losing somebody to something preventable. So that was a big driving force for me. And with that challenge, I issued myself, and in memory of my sister's legacy, I was able to go through high school, and I did really well. I graduated tops, second in my class. My high school I got out of there with just 2 B's. I mean, like, I turned it up. Like, I was focused. I was captain of the basketball team. Like, I played ball. So I was heavily involved in my, my school, extracurricular wise, and, in my scholastic. So, man, I owe a lot. I owe a lot to my sister, for pushing me over the hump. But, even with all that success, even with all that success, people, you still gonna have doubters, and if you haven't gone through that, man, just keep living. Somebody gonna be hating on your success. Just get ready for that. Like, that's inevitable. And like Meek Mill said, if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping, right? So I ran into like my first, one of my first challenges, coming out was, I graduated in a class of 120, and so there were some people, even kind of murmuring like, well, can he repeat that success on the next level? Like, can he make sure that when he gets to college, he can keep this up? And so, like Michael Jordan, I took that personally. So I had a chip on my shoulder, because I was like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna prove y'all right. I'm gonna prove y'all wrong, for the people who supported me and who didn't. I'm gonna make sure that when I get there, I'm gonna bust some heads. And so, man, I chose the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, HBCU. I didn't want to go anywhere else. I wanted to carry that torch, that legacy that my parents had set forth, and just listening to their stories, I wanted to be a part of that history. So I went there. I was a biology major, and I bust my tail, like, out the gate. Like, I went hard. Like, I went super hard, because I was driven. I was driven by doubters. I was driven by my sister. I was driven by this dream of one day being a physician, impacting millions one day. And so, man, I just went hard. Like, I studied my butt off, but now I did have fun. Like, I kicked it, but I was very strategic and very disciplined in how I did that. So, look, you're at the HBCU, you're gonna kick it. You're gonna kick it with the bros. You're gonna go out to the club, you're gonna kick it. But at the same time, I knew that Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock, I had to be the first one at the door. Like, the library lady knew my name. Like, I would sometimes open up the library, and I would sometimes close it down. Like, that's how hungry I was. That sometimes they literally had to be like, "Hey, Chris, you got to get out of here." So, while those people hung over on Saturday mornings or like, man, getting up at 12 o'clock, man, I already put 3 or 4 hours in and I'm on my like break, you know what I'm saying? So I was disciplined, but I had fun. And so, I was balanced. Balance was what I wanted to achieve in college. And so very, very involved extracurricular wise. I joined the greatest fraternity in the world, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, Blue Phi, So I joined the Beta Theta chapter in 2005, alongside my dad, who is also a member of Phi Beta Sigma. And then also my senior year, I was the Student Government Association president. And so very, very, very prestigious honor bestowed upon me by my classmates and peers. And so I took that job and, hey, wonderful thing. And so I really enjoyed it. It was stressful, but, we got through it. So coming up to I'm in my senior year, and you got to go to medical school. You got to take what? You got to take the MCAT. You got to take the MCAT, right? So take the MCAT, man. First off, I didn't really study for this thing. My middle sister, she's a doctor. She was in medical school at the time. My other sister passed away. So, in my mind, I was like, yo, it's hands down. I'm a lock. I'm going to medical school. My sister is a doctor. I'm going to be a doctor. So just by osmosis, the information going to just come into my brain, right? And I'm going to pass this MCAT, like study. I'm like, Allen Iverson, practice. You talking about practice? I don't need to practice. So I was like, study. I don't need to study. And so I didn't take the MCAT serious. Like, I did an MCAT course, but man, I was playing. I was kicking it, hanging out the night before class. I didn't take it serious. And it came time going into my senior year to take the MCAT, and I got slapped in the face. Like, slapped in the face hard. Like, hard. So got my score back. I'm devastated because I'm like, yo, my dream is now over. Like, my MCAT score, I'm gonna tell you how low my MCAT score was. Like, y'all don't laugh at me, for real. My MCAT score was so low. I called a medical school in my senior year just to see, like, man, I'm gonna throw it out there. You never know. I told this lady my score. She said, nah, baby, I need the entire score. Like, not just the sections. Like, I need the total score. And I was like, ma'am, that's my total score. And she started laughing. She said, I'm so sorry, baby. It's not gonna work for you. Like, nah, you're gonna have to try something else. So, didn't get into medical school. Failed the MCAT. I'm like, dang, what in the world is going on with my life? Like, I became depressed. Like, I let go of the steering wheel in life again. I was like, up until that point, I had never failed. Not scholastically. High school was A's. College up to that point, I was one of the top students in the biology department. I was a lock. Like, what you mean? You not going to medical school? What you mean your dream not coming true? What? That ain't clicking, bro. Like, so yeah, life. I got challenged again. And I'm like, dang. I'm on a detour. Now what am I gonna do? For months, I was in a dark place. Didn't really care. I became isolated. But I got up and dusted myself off. With the help of friends and support systems. I got back on the saddle, and my department chair told me about this graduate program at SIU, post-baccalaureate program, and so the rest was history. So I applied. Didn't get in that first year. I didn't get in. So here I am graduating college, man, superstar in my mind, top student, and he not going to medical school. I'm out there for a whole year. So I had to take a year off. So after graduation, I took a year off. I had to work dead-end jobs. I had to work jobs I just wasn't proud to admit that I was working, but hey, bills had to be paid. So I had to do what I had to do. So went through that, applied. Thank goodness I got in. I did get into. I tried to get into medical school, thinking, oh man, I don't need to study. Doing the same thing, hoping for a different result. That didn't work out. So eventually, I did end up. I was like, you know what? I think med prep at SIU is gonna be the best place for me. And so that's what I did. And man, that program changed my life forever. It really did. And so I got a good man, quality education, quality support systems professionally, pushing me to be better. One of my funniest stories in this journey actually happened there. I call myself a smooth cat. Like, I thought I was pretty cool. You know, I was dressing up. One day I had on, man, I had a shirt, tie, bow tie. I mean, you know, my slacks. So I strolled into class one day, you know, cool MOD. I ain't had no backpack. I ain't had nothing. I just strolled in there. It's like my first week there. So this guy, man, this teacher, he like 6'5", 300. Like, this big dude just like comes in there and he says, all right, y'all, I want y'all to pull out some pencil and paper and I want y'all to write as I talk. So I'm sitting on the front row because I'm trying to be clean, trying to be seen, you know, want the honeys to look at me. So next thing you know, I started looking around like, hey man, you got some pencils, you got papers. So before I knew it, when I turned back around looking forward, man, this dude, I literally had to look up like, and this guy was literally towering over me. And he walks away and he's like, this is a crying shame. Man got on a bow tie, but ain't got no pencil and paper. Man, what kind of doctor are you? And man, the whole class erupted. Like, I was so embarrassed. I was ashamed. Like, man, people clown me to this day, like years later, about that situation. But it taught me something. And he did talk to me afterwards, like, you know, as an African American wanting to be a physician, you got to hold yourself to a higher standard. And you never want to be in a situation where you're in front of a speaker and you don't have anything to write. Write some pencil and paper to write with. You know, it shows respect to the person in front of you. And that's a lesson I take with me everywhere I go. And so, but it was pretty funny though. Like, I was clean, but yeah, I was not prepared at all. I was just there looking good. So so hey, lesson learned. But you know, just a quick fast forward. You know, again, I'm not trying to tell my whole life story here because, you know, I could be on that for hours. But I did persevere. I did get into medical school on the third time. I did gain admission in the medical school. So I really want to just stop right there. You know, of course, there's some other, you know, trials and tribulations I did, you know, to get through medical school and all that. Yeah. But I really want to stop right here and just encourage anyone that may be feeling inferior or maybe feeling like, man, maybe I made too many mistakes. I can't come back from this. Man, it's over. No, it's not over. Like, if you're at the end of your rope, as the common phrase say, man, tie a knot at the end and hang on. That's what I did. And that's what I did with this story of even getting to medical school. There was something on the inside of my bosom that I wouldn't let die. There was this fire that I wouldn't let anyone put out. That was my baby. My dream was my baby, and anybody that tried to get close to it, I would tap their hand and say, get back. I'm trying to grow a dream here. And so I just want to motivate somebody, hopefully inspire someone coming behind me, whether it's, you know, man or female. You know, listen, you can get it out the mud. I don't care where you are. Like, you are enough. Like, don't let nobody tell you, man, you went to a black college, or man, you grew up in this segment of the city, or you grew up, your mom was poor, or your mom's on welfare, or your dad won. Man, none of that stuff matters. Only thing that matters is grit, perseverance, dedication, and listen, a burning desire to win. Listen, you got all that stuff, you cannot lose. I'm telling you. So listen, thank you for the opportunity to do this deal. Man, I hope I wasn't too long. I hope I didn't lose y'all attention. Thank you all so much for the people who hung in there and listened to this whole thing. But I'm going to go ahead and sign off. My name is Chris Stepps. And by the grace of God, I am a black man in a white coat. All right. Y'all take care, man. I'll see y'all next time. Check me out, Instagram, StepsMD. All right, baby. Bye.
I told you that was going to be a fire episode, super inspirational episode. Man, Dr. Stepps, my man, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story, to lift the next generation. Really appreciate that. Thank you so very much. To my listeners, again, man, we love y'all. So glad to be back for this season of the Black Men and White Coats podcast. We got some great stories, some great stuff coming up for you guys this season. Thank Things to remember for the pre-meds, make sure you check out premedmondays.com. You get to hop on weekly coaching calls with my coaching team, right? And we help you through this journey over 52 weeks. We use my book, Pre-Med Mondays, as a guide to keep you guys on the path for success. Everybody else, check out diversemedicine.com. Join our online community of healthcare professionals and students and future healthcare professionals. We got a lot going on there and a surprise coming out for that community too as well. So stay tuned for that surprise. And of course, everybody else, check out the Black Men and White Coats documentary if you have not done so. It's crazy when people are still watching that video, that movie, a documentary we made like crazy. So it's bmwcmovie.com. People are still watching like crazy. And I'm so excited about, the impact it's had. Man, love you guys. Super excited, man. Super excited to be back. And y'all keep on engaging. Y'all make sure you check out the links down below, right? We got mentoring lunches coming up. And we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Ingram Academy, all that stuff. So check out the links below. Love you guys. See you next time.
Ooh. I want them band like a daddy, yeah. Oh, let's do it like Flagger, yeah. I'm kicking flavor, no saga, yeah. Hey, I like them blues. I might go Janet like Jackson. I got them options, yeah. It's all about progression. Life is like a blessing. Everything a win, loss is like a lesson. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, ain't no time for stressing. I've been really stepping. Ooh.